Back with more. It's the Capital Blue Cross Intermission Report. Hey, everybody. It's Jim Jackson. I'm going to fix my collar because we're on video here. JJ, you're telling me, I know you're a Utica native.
Yes.
You try to get back here when you can, and this turned out to be a good time for you to come on back to your hometown.
Yeah, my son coaches the junior Comets in their junior program here, and he has a couple playoff games earlier today and then again tomorrow. Flyers played last night, Toronto. If I was really smart and had looked ahead enough, I would have figured out a way to go from Toronto right to Utica, but no. I flew back with the team and then drove all the way up from Philly. So I'm on about 2 hours sleep, but it was great to see my son play, although his team did lose today. They got another game. It's best of 3, so they're still alive. And then, well, it was completely by happenstance, but Joe Benson, their play-by-play guy here in Utica, said, hey, yeah, the Phantoms are in town. I said, count me in. So I wanted to see some of the prospects play. So what is it they say about a postman? What does he do on the day off? He takes a walk, right?
Yeah, sure. That's what we've seen so far, unfortunately. We still have 20 minutes to go, so we can all. But your son coaching here.
Yes.
I mean, you have Utica ties. He doesn't really.
No.
I mean, he grew up in Philly.
Yeah.
So this is a fun coincidence for you. And
So
I mean,
strange.
literally in the same building where you first went to hockey games as a kid.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I grew up here seeing the Mohawk Valley Comets of the EHL, going back to the Eastern Hockey League. When I was 9, 10, 11 years old, that's how I fell in love with hockey. Then went away to school, came back, and became the play-by-play announcer of the Utica Devils of the American Hockey League from 1987 through 1993. So this building has been such a big part of my life. So then hockey goes away from Utica. I go away from Utica. I go to Philadelphia, have kids, and he grows up to be a hockey player. He played Division III and then now into coaching. And wouldn't you know, his first job out of college is coaching in Utica, New York, in the building where I used to go. It's just weird. And earlier this year, I came up for a game. It was all by myself. My wife had another commitment. And it was here. Sometimes they play in the Nexus Center here in the unbelievable complex that Robert Esch has put together. But they're actually playing in the big building. So I sat in the seat that I sat in as a kid and watched my son coach. It was one of the weirdest feelings I've ever had.
So you had the season tickets here.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Do you remember your first game with
I
your
do.
dad?
My first game, my father was a veterinarian, and he and his veterinarian partner split a season ticket. So we went to half the games. The other veterinarian's family went to half the games. We tended to enjoy the hockey more, so the next season we got a full ticket. But that first game, I remember, it was about halfway up in the section right in front of you here in this booth, where I sat and watched Bobby Jones score a goal. I can remember Bobby Jones. He was a center. And he scored for the Comets. And Brian Conacher, you may remember the Conacher
the
family.
Conachers, yeah.
He was the general manager of that team. And I remember him in his suit walking up past me up the steps, coming up to this press box. And I was thinking, wow, this is cool. And those are my first memories live at hockey. I mean, I was a Rangers fan growing up. Don't hate me, Flyers fans. I've given it up. I gave it up a long time ago. But I was a Rangers fan growing up, so I did fall in love with it a little bit on TV too, but in person it was in this building where I really fell in love with the sport.
And then you were calling for the Utica Devils from 87 through 93. They had a certain goaltender there.
Yeah,
by the name of
Marty Brodeur. He's
yeah.
won some games, and Billy Guerin was on that same team.
Sure.
Was the GM of the gold medal winning USA team, and so many players through those 6 years that I count as real friends of mine. I was about the same age as those guys, right? Now,
I remember those days.
Yeah, well, these guys are getting to be grandkids' age of mine now, so I have to worry about that. But yeah, I mean, Brent Severin's one of my best friends in hockey. He's now pre and post with the Dallas Stars. He, of course, made it to the NHL. Jamie Huscroft. There's a whole bunch of players that played here in Utica that are guys I stay in touch with, and it's great that way. And you know, I don't probably have that same kind of kinship with the Flyers players, because once you get to the NHL, there's a little bit of a monetary difference, and now the age difference that we already discussed. So while I have a professional relationship with them and consider them friends, they're not like close friends as some of the guys from my minor league days.
Well, you're all together in the same boat when you start on the buses and all at the shore.
You're helping with the bags.
I know all about it.
Yeah, you're helping lift the bags and stuff. Do you still do that, Mom?
I try to get out of it.
Yeah, try to avoid that.
499 games with the Utica Devils, and then the team was
couldn't make it to 500.
I know, yeah, but the team was going under, and they weren't coming back.
Yes.
And you didn't know if you were going to have a job again. You needed that Flyers job.
I did, and here's how how it happened. I owe it to Robbie Ftorek, who was the last coach I had here in Utica. You may know him, U.S. Hockey Hall of Famer, known for throwing a bench on the ice as coach of the New Jersey Devils. But Robbie and I, he was riding back. We were riding back. We had been eliminated by the Rochester Americans in the playoffs, and he was having all the players come up to sit with him on the bus to go over their summer schedule of working out and such. And he got done a little early before he got back, so he pulls me over. And now, I wasn't working for him per se, but we were friends. So he said, "So what are you going to do?" And I go, "Well, rumor has it, Robbie, that the Devils are leaving." And he just nodded, which confirmed to me they were leaving. And I said, "Well, I've sent tapes to Anaheim and to Florida, the 2 expansion teams that year, and we'll see if anything else opens up, and I get a tape there." He goes, "Don't wait. Send tapes to all the teams. Get it all out there." Now, this is back, Bob, before you had the email with just a link. You actually had to send a snail mail cassette. And I told him, those end up in the circular file. Nobody looks at those. I fought him, of course. But where was I the next morning? I was in the studio making 22 dubs for all the other NHL teams. And I sent those out. I actually was approached by the Ducks, offered their job in July, and was negotiating with them when the Flyers called. And if it wasn't for Robbie Ftorek, they wouldn't have had a tape of me. So they wouldn't have called. Right. The job opened up late in the summer. Doc Emmerich decided to go to New Jersey and also do more national work. They moved Gene Hart, two Hall of Fame broadcasters there. Gene moved back from radio to television, so there was a radio opening that nobody knew about. They didn't even advertise it, but my tape happened to be there from that tape that I had sent out 2 or 3 months earlier, and it got me a job that I've had now for 33 years. And so I owe it all to Robbie Ftorek.
I was going to say 30. I was going to say 31. I couldn't do the math.
Well, 33,
TV. Yeah. 33 years later, here you are, and this is where it all started. And I remember, what is this, the 11th or 12th year for the Utica Comets and the new version here? Yeah, I think they started in
2013, the latest, the Robert Esch, I call them the Robert Esch Utica Comets.
You were so excited for this team and the arrival of AHL hockey in Utica again, and you came up here and chatted with Brendan Burke.
Yeah, the very first game they played. Gordie Howe was in the building.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I remember walking in, and I'd been texting Robert, Esch, he's a friend of mine, of course, from Utica. And he said, "Yeah, we're getting ready. And when I walk in the building, he's literally painting one of the billboards the day of their opener. He's a hands-on owner, And then I came up, and I remember I was sitting with Jamie Pusher, who's now...
Yeah, I know Jamie, yes.
Yeah. He was a scout back then. We sat just to the left of the overflow, left of this booth, and it was packed, and Gordie Howe dropping the puck. It was unbelievable, and I just couldn't believe what I was seeing because it was only 7 or 8 years before that where this building was almost condemned. I mean, it was pretty much shut down, and now look at, they're going through some tough times now. They're not drawing as well because the team hasn't played well the last couple of years. But for the last decade or so, it's been a model franchise. I never would have thought, and Robert Esch deserves full credit for that. He's done an unbelievable job putting this together, and I think he'll get it to bounce back. But
well, like you, Robert Esch has so much hometown pride. I mean, that's why he brought this team here in the first place.
And I dare you to find a restaurant he doesn't own in town. It's like he owns every restaurant out there. But he's just really into this community, and he's done so much for it and deserves full credit. And yes, that night I was interviewed by Brendan Burke right down there at the end of this row, and look at what Brendan's done. So, they've had quite a lineage of broadcasters through here. Dave King was the guy I listened to as a kid, but Lee Hamilton, Tim Roy has been the voice of the Golden State Warriors in the NBA, called hockey from this building. Danny Clinkscale, who worked for me, has been a voice of broadcasting in the Kansas City area. So it's been pretty cool. Bob Papa, briefly, he's the voice of the New York Giants.
Sure.
Briefly with me at WIBX as one of the voices. So,
wow. For a small market, that's some big heavy hitters.
Yeah, Mike Haynes, who used to do the Colorado Avalanche.
Yes.
He also was in Utica briefly. So, they've had quite a lineage, and it's fun to come back. And now my son's here, so I'm back here a lot.
Well, something that, I think a lot of outsiders don't fully understand. Hockey historians know. It goes before the days when you were coming here with the EHL, but the original Clinton Comets and the 1968 team that everybody still talks about. And they had the little dinky arena like 12 miles away in Clinton.
Wooden chairs. I went to games. Oh, yeah, I went to games there. They would play a couple of preseason games there, and even sometimes if the odd was booked, that would be their backup arena. I was there once when a brawl broke out and the chairs were thrown on the ice. It was unbelievable. I'm not old enough to have seen Jack Kane, who just passed passed away just a couple months ago. He was the star of that team. I mean, he was their leading scorer. Ted Tucker in goal. So I vaguely remember them because they were kind of the guys I heard about. I didn't actually see them play.
But everyone still talks about
yeah,
them.
all the legendary Clinton Comets, absolutely.
Now, the movie Slapshot.
Yes.
And you know, the pregame brawl,
yes.
the bloody national anthem and all that.
Yes.
That was here.
Yes.
You were here.
I was here. I'm still not getting royalties.
We don't have proof, but we'll believe you.
They had put fans in the stands, and they had told. And my father was what it's. I mean, I didn't know. I was too young. I was. When was Slapshot? 77. So I was 14. I was old enough to know what I was doing, but it was my father who got us here, and I've slowed it down, tried to find myself in the crowd, but I'm not in there anywhere.
Just well, you're one of a zillion extras.
There were a lot of us here. They had to pack the building, right? And then. What I remember from that most is it took forever just for, and then you're thinking, wow, this is going to be a great segment. And then the movie comes out, and it's like 2 minutes.
Right,
yeah. Like, we were there all day.
It took 10 hours to film 2 minutes. You thought it was going to be like the whole movie.
But it's one of the best lines in all of movies, right? Listen to the bleeping song. Yeah. So, I mean, it was fun to be part of that. And, yeah, there's the Johnstown Arena. As a kid, we went on a couple road trips. The fan club. I was in the fan club, and we went to that arena. So I remember seeing that arena, and a lot of the players that are used as extras in there were in the EHL back then. Frankie Hamill and some of the other guys. I mean, Bruce Boudreau.
Right,
Paul Holmgren he lived with Bruce Boudreau in the loft that Paul Newman had.
They used his apartment.
Yeah, there's just so many stories from that movie, and I'll still watch that once in a while. And now, I look and you see the signature roof here, the ceiling here.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, well, they designed that after Madison Square Garden. But somebody told me Madison Square Garden was actually designed after this. I don't know about that. I got to figure out if that's true or not. But
okay.
I got to think Madison Square Garden predated this. But
well, the new MSG was 68, and this is 55.
Yeah, so there you go. There you go. This was the model for the modern, although it's been modernized again, Madison Square Garden. How about that? I mean, I never would have thought that as a kid.
Right. Well, when they built this place, as an alternative venue for the Clinton Comets and so forth, 1955, this was like a big, gigantic thing. Now it's
one of the smaller buildings.
It's a small building. It's a small market, but it still is here in the AHL. I love this aspect of the American Hockey League, though, too. I mean, Allentown's kind of medium-sized market, and we had a lot of markets like that, Providence and Bridgeport. But you get the big cities, Laval is Montreal, Cleveland, Charlotte, and then you get the little towns here where there's so much hometown pride to host a team of this level in Utica or Belleville and towns like that. And it's sort of the glory of minor league sports in the AHL.
There's charm to that, and that was what it was all like when I was in the AHL. I mean, there was no Chicago.
Did they have the Maritime teams?
Yes,
then?
they did. I got to go, and I loved going to Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily like going to Moncton as much.
Well, it's a hike, too.
It is. But, yeah, Fredericton was in the league when I was in the league. And
the Canadians
and then St. John, New Brunswick was in the league. And then
St. John is different than St. John's.
And that was also in the league at the tail end of my time.
Yeah, they played each other.
Yes.
St. John against St. John's.
And St. John's is a half hour off, right, time-wise?
1.5 off.
I've got a great story to tell you there. We probably don't have time, but we were there, and my clock was all off. Robbie Fatork, my last year there, but he comes to my door, and he's just giving it to me. You're late. The bus is waiting for you. Whole team's waiting for you.
No.
And I'm throwing my stuff into my suitcase, and I get out there, and I get out of the bus, and I get on the bus, and nobody's saying anything. It's really quiet. I thought they're going to do all the chants because I was holding the whole bus up. And I'm going, and Billy Garrett was sitting behind me. I said, what's going on? He goes, Robbie was late, too. And I just look over at Robbie, and he just smirks at me. He didn't say a word.
You got let off the hook there.
I did.
Big time. JJ, it was wonderful. Thank you for it's loud in here, too.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the Utica and Mohawk Valley hockey history. Now, modern technology with the lighted boards.
I didn't have that.
It's the same,
back
but
then.
it's changed.
Did not quite have that back then. But let's just see if the Phantoms can get some offense going here.
I mean, you're here for one game.
I know. I want to see some goals
sakes.
to the Phantoms.
Bump and bonk. Let's get it going,
That's
guys.
right. Absolutely.
JJ, thank you so much.
Take care,
this was great.